Welcome back to the second part of giving and responding to good and bad news. Today we are going to highlight giving and responding to bad news. Dear friends, no one can deny that it's difficult sometimes to tell bad news. For example, a relative passed away, a friend or a neighbor had a car accident, you failed the test or you didn't get a job, and so on and so forth. However, you find yourselves obliged to tell them. So what are the different and most adequate ways used to give and respond to bad news? So let's discover them together. Let's study first the following dialogue. As you see on the board, we have two speakers. Speaker number one looks very sad. I'm sorry, I've got some bad news to tell you. Our friend had a serious accident this morning. Speaker number two, for goodness sake. So speaker number one is giving bad news using this expression, I'm sorry, I've got some bad news to tell you. Plus, bad news, our friend had a serious accident this morning. Speaker number two is responding to bad news using for goodness sake. Of course, in English, we have a lot of expressions used to give and respond to bad news. Let's discover them in the following table I'm going to trace on board. So we need two columns, as usual. One column for giving bad news. Second column for responding to bad news. Okay? One way to give bad news is the one stated in the dialogue. I'm sorry, I've got some bad news to tell you. Okay? Our friend had a serious accident this morning. Another way to give bad news, I'm afraid I've got some, for example, instead of bad, we can use terrible. I've got some terrible news for you or to tell you. Okay? Another way, I really don't know how to say it. I really don't know how to say it, but, okay? I really don't know how to say it, but our friend had a serious accident this morning. Okay? The last one is I really feel bad. I really feel bad to have, okay, to have to say this, but. Okay? I really feel bad to have to say this, but our dear friend had a serious accident this morning. To respond to bad news, we have also a lot of expressions. For example, for goodness sake. For goodness sake, exclamation mark. Or, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. Or, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Okay? Another important one, that must be awful. That must be awful. The last one, poor you. Poor you. Okay? So these are the most used expressions for giving and responding to bad news. Meet you soon. Thank you for watching.